Good morning and welcome to our Sunday worship service. We are so glad you're here and hope you will join us again. If you are not yet a member of our congregation, we invite you to attend our two-part Pathway to Membership classes. The Pathway to Membership experience is designed to help you better understand what we're all about, what it means to be a member, and to learn more about how the congregation works. It's a meaningful process that we hope you will be part of. Please stop by the welcome table after service or contact me, Tina Lewis, at tlewis@unitytemple.org for more information. We hope your time with us today lifts your spirit and brings you comfort and joy.
Good morning. It's great to see familiar and some new faces today. If we haven't met before, my name is Michael Weeks. I use the pronouns he, him, and his, and I serve on our board of trustees. I have a few things I'd like to share with you today. First, everyone is welcome to join us for coffee, cookies, and fellowship immediately following the service in Unity House. It's right across the hall. And if you'd like to join us for an activity during the week, those are listed on the back of our program and in our e-beacon, which is our weekly email newsletter, which is sent out on Fridays. Earlier in March, our transitions team shared a draft of a relational covenant that we will be voting to adopt as a congregation on Sunday, April 30th. Today, I would like to lift up a portion of that draft, which says, "We hereby covenant to communicate with respect and compassion by valuing differences in perceptions, spiritual beliefs, religious practices, and life experiences, expressing our disagreements, listening deeply with the goal of understanding, acknowledging the mental, emotional, and spiritual impact of secrets, following the congregation's policies and procedures." If you have any questions about this statement and what it means, or any other questions, please find our minister or a member of the transitions team to share your thoughts. We are so glad that you are with us today. We hope you find the service inspiring and meaningful. This is my favorite part. I invite you now to greet one another, both online and in the sanctuary.
Hi. Good morning. Good morning.
Hey. What up, girl?
And some of our panelists for later on today here. Down there, so that'll be one of our
Our cellist later today is Gwen. Gwen loves Squishmallows and loves her friends. Please join me in the words of our chalice lighting. We are Unitarian Universalists. This is the church of the open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. We take care of the planet Earth and each other.
Our opening words this morning come from the Reverend Gretchen Haley. There is nothing you need to bring with you to be welcome here. No right beliefs or proof of citizenship, no eternal optimism or clarity of conviction, no boundless courage or endless expertise. You do not need to know what brought you here or how you will solve that problem you're turning over and over and over in your mind. Your bills do not need to be paid. Your checkbook can be a mess. Your children may have had you up half the night. Your hearing aids may not be working and your knees may be creaking. You do not need to be already perfect or even halfway to belong in the circle where grace meets us where we are, but does not leave us as it found us, where love resides in each of us, yet is somehow more than all, where life still pulses and rages and heals and transforms, creating us and this day anew once again. Come, let us worship together. Let us rise and body our spirit and join in singing hymn number 134, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire, and remain risen as you are able for our covenant.
Please join us in the words of our covenant. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls go into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Emma Farrell. I am a part of the spiritual care team. My pronouns are she or they. Excuse me. Before the service each week, you can find just outside of the sanctuary doors a binder where you can write down any joys or sorrows that might be on your heart. For those of you online, we will review the chat each week and include whatever joys or sorrows are shared in that chat during the following service. You can also email your joys or sorrows to joysandsorrows@unitedhealthcare.org. unitytemple.org. If you would like to talk to someone about something that might be on your heart, something you're going through, something that you're processing, something you're not sure about, if you have a sense of loneliness, if you just want to reach out, we would be more than happy at the spiritual care team to serve in that capacity for you. Please feel free to contact us. The email address for us is spiritualcare@unitytemple.org. That email will go to all of us on the spiritual care team. You can also recognize us by these sparkling turquoise hearts on our name tags. We are here to listen and sit with you. Here are the joys and sorrows that were shared for this week. Nicolina Valentine Romito, daughter of Angela Romito, turned 3 on March 22nd. Angela shares that Nico has been the light of her life, and she would like to thank the congregation for being part of her life. Nico looks forward to going to Unity Temple whenever Angela is healthy enough to make it. We also have a joy from Reverend Allison Farnham. She shares the delight that the DRUM, or Diverse Revolutionary Unitarian Universalist Multicultural Ministries, DRUM, will be gathering together this afternoon for a BIPOC-only space. May their time together be joyful and nurturing. We have a concern from Shirley London. She writes, sending positive vibes to Cliff Powers, who has his resentencing hearing tomorrow, 3/27, at 1:30 p.m. in Waukegan Circuit Court. Please keep him in your thoughts. Please also keep Aiko Igarashi in your thoughts, as she has been in rehab for hip surgery. And Val Igarashi asks that we hold her friend Robin, who has COVID, in our hearts. Kind thoughts are appreciated for Nancy Sidman and her family. She shares that her mom has entered hospice care. She's struggling with wanting her released from pain, but having a hard time saying goodbye. And finally, Alice O'Cray shares that her brother-in-law, Will Jarvis, transitioned into stardust at the age of 82. She asks that we hold her niece and nephew, their spouses and children, and Alice's daughters, Michelle and Catherine, and their spouses and children in our loving hearts. May together as a community, our sorrows be shared and our joys be increased by sharing together. We also honor the joys and sorrows that remain unspoken, perhaps too tender to be spoken. In a moment, the music will begin. The words will be behind me. We invite anyone who has a joy or a sorrow in their hearts or minds to come forward and to silently drop a stone into the water. As you come forward, please form lines along the side, and in the interests of time, please make the lines at the corners of the table. And if you are so moved, please join us in singing Spirit of Light.
Will you please join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation? Spirit of life and love, you who moves in and through all things, let us come to find rest in this moment. Amidst the many joys and sorrows and milestones in our lives, imagining ourselves resting in your care, held by a larger love, held in this community, a network of hands and hearts that's greater than the sum of its parts. And in this space of feeling held, or even just imagining what it could feel like to feel supported, to feel safe, to begin to breathe deep, and allow the mind and heart to open, perhaps to what needs learning in this time. What comes up that requires our examination, our discernment. And imagine that being held by a larger love. Imagine that that love is preparing a way forward, forming perhaps into an intention of how that piece of learning can be applied into right relationship with our loved ones, with our fellow humans, with all living and non-living things. Amen to that and hallelujah. Yes, to right relationship with life itself. And perhaps form that intention in our minds and hearts to carry with us, knowing that as we carry those right actions we wish to live into, that we carry one another in community, and that we are all held by a larger love. Blessed be. Salam, Ashe, Shalom, and Amen. This morning we're singing a song that flows from our time of sharing joys and sorrows and holding ourselves in community. It's a song called Dayuna Naish. And the song notes from this in our teal hymnal share that the song is an inspiration of a Muslim who resides in the U.S., Samir Badri. And Samir recruited a composer who is a Jewish friend he knows to set the words to a tune, because they were both featured together at a peace rally in Arizona before the U.S. bombing of Afghanistan and then Iraq. So this is when they created this song. The words in English say, "Let us live in peace, let us live in inner peace, let us weave our dreams together, let us die in peace." And so when we begin the song, I'm going to sing the part, and then you get to echo it back. And so just flow, go with the flow, and allow the words to move in and through you as we imagine ourselves weaving our dreams together with the dreams of communities all around us, so that we all may know peace.
Dayuna Naish,
This congregation is beautiful. It's such a gift to be with you this morning. And I'd like to invite all the young and young at heart to come forward as I share with you a little bit about a friendship that I have. Or you can remain nestled with your loved ones as you wish. Whatever feels most comfortable for you. It's all good. So I'm Reverend Allison Farnham. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And I am the director and minister of the Unitarian Universalist Prison Ministry of Illinois. And it is so wonderful to be with you. And I think I'm supposed to sit here, so I will sit. I wanted to tell you a little bit about one of my friends. His name is Lonnie. Doesn't he have the most beautiful smile? I call this picture, like I saved the file in my computer and I called it Lonnie Sunshine. And he lights up my life whenever I get to talk with him. So he also went to seminary. And so when he was in seminary, we would have these wonderful conversations about what it's like to be a minister, what it's like to be a person of faith. And we would talk about Unitarian Universalism. But you know, there are other things that we like to talk about. We like to talk about food. We love talking about food. Our favorite foods. Music we like. I hear a singer. The only thing is that the only time I can really talk to Lonnie, I can only talk to him for 20 minutes. Because my friend Lonnie is in prison. Lonnie had an accidental bad choice a long, long time ago. Over 33 years ago. And ever since, he's been in a cage. And it's really horrible, and it's really sad. But when I talk to Lonnie, I feel really hopeful and happy. And what I'm hoping is that Lonnie will be able to get out of prison one day. Because when Lonnie gets out of prison, he is committed to do good things in the world and for our communities. Like I said, Lonnie was in seminary, and he actually graduated, and that's our next picture. When it comes up, it's a picture of us at his graduation at Stateville Prison. And that you can see my face hurt from smiling so much. And I had such a good time together. And right now, Lonnie has a petition on the governor's desk, and he is asking for something called clemency. And that is one of the only ways that people like Lonnie, who have been given really, really long sentences in Illinois, can get out of prison. And that is reviewed by a group of people called the Prisoner Review Board, who make sure that people are ready. And we of Illinois isn't just for grown-ups, it's for youth too. So if you ever have any questions or want me to come in and talk more about ways that we can be inclusive of people who are locked up in Illinois prisons, I'd be happy to talk to you about that. And amen to out.
Good morning. My name is Barbara Moline. The UU Church of the Larger Fellowship that branch of our denomination for UUs who do not have access to a specific physical congregation, serves over 3,000 individuals, 1,600 of whom are incarcerated individuals. Our local Illinois branch, the CLF Ambassador Program of Illinois, which is affiliated with the UU Prison Ministry of Illinois, serves about 125 individuals incarcerated in Illinois prisons. We offer a pen pal program, publish a quarterly newsletter for both our inside and outside pen pals, and provide cards and small monetary gifts to our inside pen pals during the Christmas holidays. We also advocate on behalf of our incarcerated members. For the last year or so, I have served as the volunteer coordinator of our pen pal program, monitoring and providing support for both our inside and outside pen pals. I first signed up to be a pen pal about 3 years ago, and since then I've been a pen pal to 3 persons, each one a unique individual. One holds a PhD and is incarcerated for life with no parole. The second is serving the 31st year of a 40-year sentence for a crime he committed as a 15-year-old. The third was recently released after serving 4 years and successfully winning an appeal for a crime he did not commit. My husband, Ron, is a pen pal to 2 individuals. One, a very intelligent person, eager to engage in discussion about all sorts of issues. The other, an extremely depressed person, branded for life as a sex offender, who feels, perhaps rightly, that his life is in ruins, and who finds solace in having an accepting person willing to listen. All of these relationships have been extremely rewarding in ways we never anticipated. I have learned that people are far more than their worst acts, and that in our country, prisons and our so-called criminal justice systems are horrific places that have little interest in rehabilitation, but seek to abuse, demean, and extend punishment to those caged inside. There is an irony that many of the actions visited on prisons would be grounds for punishment on the outside. And while I have witnessed how loneliness, boredom, and inanity can flourish on the inside, I have also seen that having someone on the outside who cares enough to correspond on a regular basis can be transformative and life-changing. People worry about the dangers of communicating with someone inside, but the risks are small. Our inside pen pals have been drawn to the UU Church of the Larger Fellowship because of its values, particularly our first one that states the inherent worth and dignity of all individuals. They have completed a print-based course about Unitarian Universalism offered by the CFL out of Boston. Those who have committed crimes express remorse. Those wrongly accused hope for justice. If you would like to explore becoming a pen pal to an incarcerated person, I would love to talk with you. We are also hosting a Power Hour Zoom session this coming Thursday, March 30th at noon, in which you can learn more about our pen pal program and ask questions. There's a sign-up sheet on our table in Unity House. And please also consider attending our afternoon program at 12:45 today, in which we will show the documentary Stateville Calling, and Reverend Allison will moderate a panel that includes 2 so-called returning citizens from the Illinois Prison Project, as well as longtime prison activist Bill Ryan, who is sitting right over there, who is featured in the film. I want to close with a short poem written by a man named Theodora Baez, who is incarcerated at Joliet Correctional Center. It's called Friends. There have been times when we shared our last pack of contraband grape jelly. One of us had to talk the other out of self-harming. Chaos flowed because attack dogs drooled over our precious flesh. A few of us lost ones in the same season and were unable to physically pay our respects. Chains ate into our bodies. The glue of despair penetrated our minds. Hope kept the walls from destroying our eyes. Mail helped us carry on. We thank you for your love.
Good morning. It is so good to be here with you all today instead of on a little screen in my living room. I appreciate that. So I am here again to talk about my wonderful pen pal, who we mentioned will have his hearing tomorrow for resentencing to reduce a 45-year sentence, which was done when he was 18 years old and made a terrible mistake. We began writing to each other probably about almost 5 years ago, in 2018, and I guess I learned quickly that he was a writer because one of the first things he sent me was an essay to type for him. It was all handwritten, and it was about 4 pages on SB 1983. It was a bill it had something to do with sentencing with 4 pages of footnotes. So it was a pain in the, I will say in the neck to type this thing, but I have since learned that he has written and been published in many, many books on legal issues. But it was a search for him to actually find some poetry or something that maybe did not resemble the legalese that he was so good at speaking. And so here are Cliff's words. I found them on Facebook. He wrote them in 2016. It's his essay on Socrates, which I am told that he wrote for a theosophical rag. Let's see if I can find the name. No, I can't. That he actually, his sister probably got him to write it for them. So he wrote an essay on what is an unexamined life and what is an examined life. Something's worth is determined by how much you are willing to give up to obtain it. Most of the time, a thing's worth is relative to each person. You may have to give up more or less than others for the same thing. For every decision you make, there are numerous others that could have been chosen instead. You choose to do one thing or another because in your mind, the option you choose is more important. It is worth missing out on the other. However, for the most part, you are probably unaware of the many possibilities you dispense with every time you act or make a decision. The unexamined life is, unfortunately, the one led by most people, by everyone to an extent. Most of us go through the making only those decisions that are absolutely necessary. So much in life is missed. If the unexamined life is not worth living, is the alternative, the examined life, worth living? So, the examined life must be the one to which you apply your mind to every aspect of your life. To do this means to do two things, thinking before you act and reflecting on what you've done. When you think about the things you are going to do, you take the time to consider what these actions actually mean for yourself and the rest of the world. You do this by altering your views and beliefs to what you know is true and acting accordingly. Right understanding, not followed by right action, is as good as no understanding at all. I considered this Cliff's recognition of remorse for being a dumb teenager.
It's good to hear those words from Cliff about an examined life. And understanding that at whatever age we are, we may or may not make good decisions. And that sometimes the decision-making process isn't always available because of trauma and pain. I remember reading a book called Until We Reckon by Danielle Sarad, who's part of an organization that focuses on survivors of violence, often by the state called victims. The focus on survivors is also a focus on developing a deeper understanding of what justice is. And what Danielle Sarad says in her observations and companioning people who have experienced violence and want justice is the understanding that no one enters violence for the first time by committing it. And the understanding that violence in our culture that is so all-pervasive has the power, almost seemingly, to rid our bodies of the ability to make good choices because of the experiences and the reactions that happen in our mind, in which our prefrontal cortex can become unavailable. And yet here in our Unitarian Universalist congregations and in our theology, we embrace that we are a part not of a learned religion. We don't need experts. We cherish learning, that we're always learning and growing. And we don't just do it as individuals, but we do it within the context of community and being held in community and exploring together, having robust, respectful, covenantal conversations with one another, in which sometimes we call one another in to our best selves, to be our best community. And so when Cliff reminds us about the examined life, I think about the gift of Unitarian Universalism in my life and allowing me to examine life in a way that allowed me to rise above the waters that I was swimming in out of a hyper-individualistic model of what learning is, and to understand that I was accountable and in relationship with everyone around me. And becoming the director of the Unitarian Universalist Prison Ministry of Illinois, it feels like I'm always swimming upstream in a culture that would invisibilize those who have been locked up in cages, in prisons, and in jails. And for me personally, it's been an ongoing learning process. And I think we should cry about it. For real. And that's part of keeping it real. It's like keeping it real about what do we need to be looking at. I grew up in a culture as like cisgendered, heteronormative, upper middle class, white woman. And so there were certain things I just never needed to see. And so I had to do, and I'm still doing, unlearning as part of my learning. And it's Unitarian Universalism that has brought that to me in waves over and over again. Not because it's a training or some sort of gold star that I need to get as some white cisgendered person, but it's because it's how I want to be in the world, in right relationship with all that is, always learning, always examining, understanding new things. And especially when it comes to working with our members inside, it's taking the guidance and leadership from their wisdom and experience, their words. Cliff says it. Right understanding, not followed by right action, is as good as no understanding at all. That what we learn needs to be applied. Now, this may come into being for you, not in the ways of thinking about anti-racism, anti-oppression, multiculturalism, prison ministry. It may come into you in the ways that what we're reflecting about during the prayer and meditation time. Something you're turning over, discerning, and thinking about. And that part of it, of being in this life, is experimenting with these intentions that come up and just trying to do the next right thing. But that next right thing that we can continue to do again and again, we do it in community, and we can test one another and give each other feedback and love each other through just trying to be good people in this world. And you know what? This world makes it hard. Sometimes it is hard. It is so exhausting to swim upstream or for people to feel like they have to do the labor for someone else to teach them. And that's one thing about my learning that I have to continually check myself about, is am I continuing to do my own discernment and learning so that someone else doesn't feel like they need to be my teacher? Especially if it's someone from a historically marginalized or oppressed community. So one of the things that I keep thinking about is the injustice of long-term incarceration. And so when I'm taking the guidance and the leadership from people inside, it's right now we've been asked to focus on ending death by incarceration. And so for the prison ministry of Illinois, we are starting to focus on a campaign that short-term is looking at supporting a bill called Second Look for IDOC Seniors and giving people who have been incarcerated for 25 or more years in Illinois prisons and who are 55 and up the chance to petition for parole. A chance to petition for parole, because there are not chances to do that right now. Like I said for my friend Lonnie, he doesn't have that chance. All he can do is get a clemency packet together, which he did with the help of his pen pal Tracy, and have that sit on the governor's desk. And all of us are just waiting for the governor to sign these petitions. So ending death by incarceration is something that's looking at the long-term sentencing in Illinois. So even though Illinois has abolished the death penalty, it's important to name that there's still a living tomb called prisons that are being funded by the billions in the state of Illinois. And that it is death by incarceration is how we define these long-term sentences, or life without parole, or natural life sentences. And some of the reflections we've had about ending death by incarceration in our conversations have been from, for instance, from Akil, who right now is at Kewanee, and he's one of our inside members, and he's working on he's soon preparing himself to get released So it's a big deal. He took time to reflect about this for all of us here. And he shared in his writing that death by incarceration, it's not just about the physical body, even though the ramifications of being locked up in Illinois, your life expectancy is drastically reduced, nutrition is terrible, but there's also the mental health aspects and the social aspects and the spiritual aspects. Mental health-wise, I'm just going to invite that mental health care in a prison is not possible. Just going to invite that idea for people to sit with. And so the mental health is difficult. The social aspects of being long-term, developing relationships, trying to get your own community inside, and then your cellie or your brother from another mother or your sister or sibling suddenly is gone. They've been transferred somewhere else. And this kind of social disruption happens again and again, especially for folks who, with long-term sentences, whose families live often hundreds of miles away, and they're often estranged due to physical or emotional boundaries of some kind. The inside connections are what they have. But then there's also the spiritual. That there is a theology, a punitive theology that it is embedded in prison life. And I think that the staff act almost are imbued with this kind of authority that they can assert power over. And there's a theology of power over and dominion over that offers reflective spaces for people, but only to reflect on the bad that they have done that they deserved. And that is part of God's plan, that you are being punished in this way, and that you're here for a reason. Unfortunately, in the larger web of what we look at how the interlocking systems of oppression tell us, prison solves nothing. And the punitive theologies that are being supported in prisons are exactly why part of it was a sense of disgust at that helped form the Unitarian Universalist Prison Ministry of Illinois. This idea that we could come in and say, you have worth and dignity. You are worthy of love. No one is outside the circle of love. You matter. Your experiences matter to us. And you being able to be encircled to share those experiences matters. And that you have the power of your own strength to heal in community. And so with that spiritual care, we bring that in our pen pal relationships as well, just by forming relationships and finding ways to come together in work that isn't just about relationships that edify someone on the outside, but instead that are rooted also in advocacy and ongoing education and learning and support. And so Barbara already invited you into it, but I'll do it again. An invitation to be a part, to join this community. And so Akil also mentions this, and I quote, he is an imam, by the way. Allah in the Holy Quran says, "Verily oppression is worse than slaughter. The real death by incarceration is not the pine box, but the suppression of all that it means to be human." As Unitarian Universalists, we have opportunities to invite ourselves, to render ourselves more human to one another, and to have the opportunity to rise up and see the waters we swim in and engage in learning and right action about what direction we want to be flowing. One right action at a time, held in community and working toward beloved community. May it be so. Blessed be.
Each week, we Uni Temple give our Sunday offering to an organization that aligns with our Unitarian Universalist values and is committed to bringing justice, equity, and compassion to this world. This week, our Sunday collection will benefit the UU Prison Ministry of Illinois, equipping Unitarian Universalists in Illinois to transform institutions and support people harmed by the prison industrial complex. To learn more about this wonderful organization, Reverend Allison.
I think I've mentioned a lot. We heard about our mission and also the vision that comes from the words from the Reverends Susan Frederick Gray and Erica Hewitt, that no one is outside the circle of love. As you give generously today, for which we are so grateful for your giving, we also invite the gift of your engagement and participation at whatever level feels good for you. So you can always contact Barbara Moline, or you can go to our website, uupmi.org, to learn more or fill out a contact form, and I'd be happy to get together with you and talk about your own discernment and what's in your heart. And now I will tell you about the description of how you give, which is very important. You can donate by sending a check to the Unity Temple office with UUPMI on the memo line, or by following the directions on your screen. And please note that your check or online donation must be received no later than this Friday to be given to UUPMI, the Unitarian Universalist Prison Ministry of Illinois. And if you are in the back rows, you'll find baskets under the pews. So please pass the baskets, and someone will be at the back of the main floor to collect all of them. And y'all have been passing the baskets already. So please give generously, and we are grateful for all that you give.
All right, our
I'm supposed to sing.
yeah, it's okay. Our second closing congregational song is number 1015 in the Teal hymnal, I Know I Can. Please rise in body and or spirit and join us in singing number 1015. Though days be dark with storms and burdens weigh my heart, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. The sorrow heals my soul, and burdens make me strong. The troubles wait at every turn. I know I can go on. My sister in my heart, my brother in my song. The troubles wait at every turn. I know I can go on. And though the journey is long, the destination is near. The troubles wait at every turn. I know I can go on. So brother,
I could say siblings or cousins, as we're moving in that direction, y'all.
and sisters, take my song. When hope awaits at every turn, I know we will go on.
Beloveds, we can go on with with an examined life, held in community, working towards beloved community, never stopping learning. Blessed be. Go in peace. And now I invite you, as we extinguish the chalice, to join in our chalice extinguishing words. Carry the flame.
Peace and love until we meet again. Please be seated. So I just wanted to say a couple words before I play the closing music. So all of my selections today were by female composers, women composers, to celebrate, to help honor Women's History Month and the contributions that that women have in many cases unseen and unheard contributions that women have made in the history of the world. The closing music is a song called March of the Women. This was written by Ethel Smith in the early 1900s and was very popular among the suffragette movement. And I wanted to read one of the verses for you. This is verse 4. Life, strife, those two are one. Not can you win, but by faith and daring. On, that ye have done, but for the work of today preparing. Firm in reliance, laugh a defiance, laugh in hope, for sure is the end. March, march, many as one, shoulder to shoulder, and friend to friend. This is the March of the Women.
Thank you for joining us, and I hope you found the service meaningful. My name is Jeffrey Piper, and my pronouns are he, him. My family's been a member of the congregation for 18 years, and when our 2 children were young, they participated in a variety of religious education opportunities, OWL, and other activities that have had a profound impact on how they approach their own spiritual journeys as young adults. As a family, we always enjoyed the annual family retreat. For me, musical programming has been special, and recently I found meaningful connection with Faith in Action and a spotlight on immigration justice. Our worship services and all the wonderful things we accomplish are made possible by the contributions of members and friends of the Unity Temple congregation. I ask you to join us in financially supporting our work. You may donate by using the QR code on your screen or by mailing a check to Unity Temple UU Congregation, 875 Lake Street, Oak Park, Illinois, 60301, or by giving on our website, unitytemple.org, and then clicking on Donate at the top of the screen. We accept online gifts through PayPal and Realm. You can learn more about how we carry out our mission on our website, unitytemple.org, and find out about our many support groups, Faith in Action teams, social groups, faith development groups, and music programs, or contact tlewis at unitytemple.org for more information. May what you give bring you joy. Thank you.